What was the origins and how that kind of start with the book club, like day one? What was the thoughts? What went into it for you all to start the book club?
Yeah, so it honestly started super casually. It was just me and one of my best friends wanting to commit to reading more. This was about a few years ago, like October of 2022, right around the time that I was getting back into reading. I had just finished a midnight library, and she had picked up The Silent Patient. Have you heard of that one
Yeah, of
by
course.
Alex? I don't want to butcher his last name now.
Yeah, somebody.
But it sounded interesting. Yeah, it sounded interesting. So I was like, okay, bet I'll read it too. We started talking about the book at work, and one of our coworkers was like, wait, can I read it with y'all? So we looped in a couple of other friends, picked a restaurant that we liked, and then said we'd meet in a month to talk about it. And then our first meetup wasn't even officially book club, but we were just being silly and calling it that. But we had such a good time. The conversation was so good. And so we were like, let's do it again next month. And so we picked our next book. We chose I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy as our next read, and posted a few photos and stories on our Instagram from the first meeting on. And then that's kind of when everything changed. Everyone was like DMing us and like, wait, what's this? What book are you guys reading next? Can I come? And that's when I realized that we needed a place to actually organize this. So I created an Instagram page, shared our book of the month and like where we were meeting, and then invited people to join. And then both me and my best friend that had started this with me initially are both in marketing. So we're like, let's have fun with this. Let's like make some graphics and a logo and like make a slogan and a motto. So we kind of just started out like having fun with it, and that was 3 years ago. And now we're just crossed 1,800 members, and so book club looks a lot different than it did 3 years ago. And yeah, it's been really rewarding. I've met a lot of my best friends through the club. And it just started as something small and personal. And over time, it's turned into something that I'm truly committed to. Yeah, and we've just grown into a full on community, and it still blows my mind a little bit.
Yeah, it's so cool how like you start with something small, you get the right people around it, you build the right culture, and then it just expands. The next person kind of leads to
Yeah.
the growing of everything. So when you all were kind of getting started, what was the process of like actually facilitating the conversations? Were you writing out questions beforehand and bringing them there, or how did you kind of let those conversations flow in the beginning stages of the book club?
Yeah, I feel like in the beginning it was a little bit more casual. We were able to just show up somewhere, like maybe it was a park or a coffee shop or a restaurant, and just talk about whatever book we had just read. There was no real structure, and honestly, that was like part of the appeal. We were just showing up and having good conversations. But as the club started growing, I found myself wanting to see our members more often and get more creative with how we gathered. So that's when like some of our monthly meetings, in addition to our monthly meetings, we started hosting like community events. But as for those monthly meetings, just either us reaching out to venues, or sometimes venues will reach out to us like, we want to host you. And then with the discussion questions, I come up with about 15 questions that we'll have on tables just to guide conversation if that's what they want, with an icebreaker, just to kind of get conversation started. So everyone's in their little groups, and then at the end, we'll all come together and kind of bring the conversation as one. I think one big shift that we've had is scale. So now when we're talking to restaurants or venues, we have to say, hey, we might bring in 100 people. Can your team handle that? And so it's pushed me to get a little bit more strategic about where we host and how we structure things. So it still feels like a book club, even though when you walk into a room full of like 99 other people um, who've all read the book. So it's been an interesting just way to scale and still make it feel like a welcoming place. So yeah, it's been cool to see the transition from the five of us to now over 1,800.
If you enjoyed that clip, make sure you head over to www.bookupapp.com to download our app so you can connect with your favorite bookish content creators, start conversations, and start your own book club.